Good morning. Good morning. I have my earbuds in because I have all the windows open because it is finally here in Nashville a lovely, lovely time of when it's not humid as all freaking get out, and I can have all the windows open. It's not hot. It's just lovely. So if you ever want to come visit Nashville, don't come in the summer. I swear to God, everybody thinks that it is the coolest place to be, but temperature wise, it is not. So from June to probably second week of September, I know summer's the time to travel. Nashville's not the place. Go someplace that doesn't have this much humidity. I'm sure there's other places. But anyways, October is the best month to come visit. So anyways, that said, welcome back. I am back here with the weekly energy report. This week, since it's the first week of October, I am going to do more of a monthly overview, and then kind of share some other stuff. But for right now, I'm just so glad to be back. I know that it's been a minute. I did take a hiatus over the, I guess, Mercury retrograde because I don't know about you, but that was a wallop right there. But I think it wasn't just Mercury retrograde. That always does kind of come with like, here are some lessons we need to reflect on and manage and maybe process and work through. But also, the other part of that was you do have a lot of planets that are retrograde. Oh, good morning, Rosie. If you're watching the replay, this is a live stream that happens every Monday at 11 a.m. And replays obviously are immediately after it. But like, if you want to join me live, you can comment. Just make sure you're signed into your Gmail account or your Google account so you can say hello, like Rosie. Hi, good morning, Rosie. Rose. I love her thing is little Rosie B. But hey, Rose, how are you? I hope you're doing good. You've been on my heart lately. And so just know I always think about you. But hello. I'm so glad to see you here. So, anyway, if you are signed in, you want to say hello, just go ahead and you can do so in the chat throughout the reading today. This, again, is not a card pull. This is just a reading for the overview of the month of October. I will be doing card pulls on, I think, the 31st. On Halloween, I do an annual Halloween card pull. So if you do want to have cards pulled, I do that every year on Halloween or around there. So just check the channel. In my channel in the playlist, there's like cosmic, I think it's like cosmic readings or something like that is a playlist. And there, all of the upcoming videos are scheduled. So there's going to be one for card pulls for Halloween. So first come, first serve, join and check that out. You can get your card pulled. And then another, which will be kind of more of the overarching for the collective for the year 2023. Can y'all believe it's fourth quarter for FFS, for fuck's sake? Cannot believe it. Anyways, so I'm so excited to be back. I love you, love you, love you. And so we are thankfully out of Mercury retrograde as of yesterday. You do have 2 more weeks of kind of like, I always like to look at it from the perspective of, okay, the 2 weeks of pre-shadow, which are actually the 2 weeks prior to the start of retrograde. You kind of get a preview of the movie that's going to happen. And then we had Mercury go retrograde into Libra until the 22nd, and then switch to retrograde in Virgo. So what this was all about relationships. So don't think of it so much as romantic relationship, because there's all these other stuff that's retrograding, which is also like slowing down. You might have been feeling like all summer long you've been in mud in all kinds of situations and not being able to move forward regardless, or not being able to think clearly of how to move forward. So it's all kind of starting to go direct. So we got Mercury going direct as of yesterday. I think Pluto goes direct at the end of the week or over the weekend. Things are starting to move into that direct forward motion as we kind of head towards the end of the year, which is great, but we're still kind of dealing with some stuff. So for the next 2 weeks, what you're going to do is you're probably going to remember, just think about what were some of these lessons, what relationships, what ghosts from your past popped up over the last or rather 4 weeks, that kind of put in front of you things that maybe you wanted to think about, whether it's relationship to yourself, relationship to others, romantic relationships, relationships at work, your relationship to your work, that kind of thing. Were there things coming up that you were like, ooh, this doesn't feel right, and I need to address this? Whether it be you address it directly, or with, if it's another person, you direct it with the inner workings of self. that kind of thing. And so these last 2 weeks, this week and next week, you're going to kind of have that cleanup time. So it's more of like, you see the preview, you go to the movie, and then because it was in Virgo the last 2 weeks, which is lovely. I mean, I am a Virgo, so I'm biased, but it's lovely because you get to really process what just happened and figure out where you want to go. And then as you progress these next 2 weeks, it's going to be like, oh, okay, this needs sweeping. I just need to tidy everything up, whether it's my relationship to my money, where I get my bank statements in order. If you're in business for yourself, doing your books for last quarter, tidying your house, maybe swapping out your closet from your summer clothes to your fall winter wardrobe, getting the fall decorations out. I don't know about you, but I think everybody here in Tennessee was pretty damn tired of summer by, like, I don't know, the last week of August, because I started seeing Halloween people put Halloween stuff out and fall stuff out then, because they were like, I'm done with this. And if summer's not going to leave, I'm going to like just intend for it to leave. So everybody's kind of swapping stuff out. So that's kind of what's going on right now. September was bit of a rough, bumpy road, but I think we all probably found, as we kind of take that collective exhale today, and moving forward, you're going to start seeing, oh, this is why I went through all this stuff. And here's where it is, and kind of opening up and expanding. And so, what I do want to talk about first, though, is overall arching, what we're going to do for the month of October, the overarching stuff. So, what I'm going to do for October is, and if anybody wants me to put links below, just let me know. But the I always like to pull, and it says hero's journey, but I always say shero's journey because I'm a lady. Well, no, I'm actually a broad more than a lady, much to my mother's dismay. But the shero's journey card, which to me says this is the overarching energy for the month. And then what I'm gonna do is, I'll talk about that for the overarching for the whole month. And then we'll use my animal cards, which I love. These are so soft and so sweet. And I think after the last Mercury retrograde, we kind of need that soft and sweet and lovely animal energy. So I'm going to pull 3 cards for this specific week, to give us the specific energy and the other helpers to look for this week as we navigate what's going on. So this week will probably be a little more gentle. I like to watch astrology stuff too. So my favorite astrologer online, aside from my friend Jackie, shout out to Jackie, who I adore, but she doesn't do her stuff publicly, but she's one of my dear friends. But Anne Ortley is an astrologer that I love. She's on YouTube as well. And so for more in-depth on astrology stuff, maybe just take a note and maybe follow her channel as well as mine. But you know, with all of the stuff going on, we have Saturn being retrograde, which Saturn is like the teacher. So it's being retrograde, it's going to kick your booty and rip down structures, even if like the structures that you have going on right now are not healthy for you, but you're kind of in a comfort zone with them. You might find yourself going, why is that going away? I was working. But understand that that kind of stuff is going to happen from now until, I want to say, we still got a couple of weeks left on that one. I don't know the dates of that one, but I do know that I have had so many people blending that Mercury retrograde Libra into Virgo, relationship with self, other balance, boundaries, and processing all that stuff mixed with that structure thing. Like, why is stuff just, why are all these old structures, whether it be how you would do your work, how you do your spiritual ritual, where you live, um, you know, uh, shout out to all of our people in Florida and North Carolina. All my people have checked in, and I am happy to say they are all safe and doing well. Cleaning up is going to be a pain in the ass, but I know that journey very well from our own flood here. But that kind of restructuring, like that big rough kind of stuff. So understanding whether that's an external thing where you have literal structures kind of being torn down to have a space to rebuild something better in its place, or it's an inner or an experiential structure, that stuff is still going to be happening. Maybe not as intense with the Mercury retrograde, which was putting it front and center because it is a personal planet, but understand that, that kind of stuff is still going on. But again, for more in-depth, go find, either check out the astrologer I recommended or check your own stuff. Okay, so let's get started. So now that I've yammered for about 10 minutes on like the cosmos. So like we'll connect with spirit, and we're going to shuffle our Shiro's journey cards and just pull one card to kind of give us what is the overarching energy for the month of October, and I will share intuitive insight and guidance as I kind of get there. And they're gonna let me know when to stop. Okay, this one. Okay. Ooh. I love it. I love it. Okay, so after all of this, you know, um, there's the Mercury retrograde energy that I find is so beautiful. Everybody, and I'm not one to say, I don't feel the bumps either. But what I will say is this: the beauty of Mercury retrograde is the gift of going inward, which a lot of times the world doesn't really let you do. Like if you turn on the television, whatever you're watching, whether it's a news program, a documentary, or a TV show, they're telling you what to focus on outside of you. And when you go to work, outside of you. When you're navigating the world, even going to the groceries, out of you. And the only way that we really get to cultivate our relationship with ourself, our inner self, that part of us that is the extension of source energy, so that relationship with source, that is the power that we have to manifest the dreams and the things and the stuff that we love in our life. That kind of stuff, the only way to do that is to cultivate that relationship and nurture it. And every Mercury retrograde, we get to do that in different ways. And coming out of it, as long as you say yes to that invitation of cultivating that relationship, you come out feeling a little bit more attuned to yourself, attuned to your higher self, and attuned to that relationship you have with source, creator, God, whatever you want to call it. So our first card from the Shiro's journey for the month of October is One with the Sun. The law of oneness reminds us on so many levels. Oh, and it says be the light. Be the light. Notice how she's kind of at the top of this mountain, kind of holding up the sun, shining the light. And I'm a fan of referring to myself as a light worker. Like I'll carry the torch to walk with you through your shadow. I also want to bring the light to where there's darkness, all of that kind of thing. So I love this card so much. And the reason I think it's for October is because as we cultivate that relationship over the last 4 weeks with ourselves, with source, with our higher selves, and really kind of tapping into what do I want to do with this? Now that I have rebalanced, reviewed, seen where I need to rebalance my relationships with self, others, and the things in this human existence, and I've decided to set some boundaries, maybe. Maybe they're new, maybe they're a need for reestablishing boundaries. I've had a lot of conversations with folk about resetting the container in which they are navigating a relationship with somebody or something, or even themselves. Because who is the worst boundary breacher? We tell ourselves we want to set certain times. I want to do yoga at noon for 30 minutes, and then I'm the only one that breaches that boundary if I go and watch like an episode of Bridgerton or something. So. And that was like I had a sinus infection last week, so I was binge watching Bridgerton. That's why it's at front of mind. Um, anyway, but understanding that being the light is now your time to shine. As we come out of all of these retrogrades, one step at a time, just shine even more. And I saw this affirmation and I love it. And I always intend for this as I come back to YouTube, to come back to these weekly things and other videos. I got plans. Um, when I shine, other people shine with me. So maybe that's the call for this month is when I shine my light, other people shine along with me. So remember, I think it's sometimes very challenging to say, I'm going to shine my light. You might be a little bit afraid. But if you think to yourself, the mantra that I'm going to use to put out to the universe and call into myself, that I'm going to declare and command and demand and intend and really decide that I'm going to bring this in and really kind of bring in this loving energy, like we talk about wanting more friends maybe, or like-hearted folks in our circle. Okay, well, when I shine my light, others shine along with me. So in October, and October is such a fun month. It's the best month for holidays. And I say that because it's one of the few months where the holidays are not really obligational. I mean, I hate to say it that way, but because everybody thinks Thanksgiving and Christmas and all the other, religiously affiliated holidays throughout November and December on television and Hallmark Channel, they all sound really super awesome. But when you think about it, there's also a lot of stress related to that. And October doesn't have that. Halloween or Samhain is such a lovely holiday because you're celebrating your ancestors, but you're also just being very playful. And there's a lot of celebrating because we're harvesting. And so being that light right now is very much supported to go out and be playful and go out, be fun, and just be that wonderful, shining version of you. So, and being one with the sun is also the way we shine our light is to learn take what we learned during this last retrograde about relationships, especially the relationship that you have with self and source energy and your higher self, your soul, and be one. Bring that trinity of self into a oneness so that it helps you be one with your sun, meaning this sun, the light, and bringing that forward. So I think that's our October energy. So I hope that's helpful. So let's go and move on to this week. So this week is October. What is this week? I think it's third. Where's my date? Let me see. Yep, today's the third. So this reading will be for October 3rd through the 9th, which is, and then by the way, on the 9th, we have a full moon in Aries. So that's going to be a little interesting because usually we think Aries is can be super fiery and super like, but I feel like this one will have this really interesting flow to it. Fire, just a reminder, fire energy is the manifestation. Like I always say, the elements of the earth and the experience we have here, so we're talking about air, earth, water, fire, right? So, water is the emotion that generates the thought air, that then those two things then generate the energy. It focuses your energy on whatever it is you want to manifest, good, bad, or ugly, friends, good, bad, or ugly. So make sure your air and your water are managed properly, so your thoughts and your emotions are managed so that your fire, your energy, is focused on what you want. So when it manifests into your earth element, the world in which we live in, it's what you want and not what you don't want. So, with that in mind, we do have this harvesting energy of the full moon, especially right now in October when we're harvesting squashes and melons and the last drebs and drabs of our tomatoes and zucchinis and other things, and harvesting all of the fun from the summer and kind of recapturing what I did during my summer vacation thoughts and harvesting all that goodness around this full moon. But we're doing it in an energy of fire. So that manifesting, that cooking it up goodness to create something. Okay. But we're also in the midst of like Chiron retrograde, which is our wounded healer. So it might be dredging up some stuff over the summer that you witnessed that was like, ooh, owie, I'm not sure. Or coming up and harvesting things to get rid of them. Like, because we also, like, I just spent yesterday pulling out the rest of my garden because the nights here are getting down in the 40s and they're not going to do so hot. So just kind of instead of letting them wither and die, I just went ahead and tilled up everything and cleared the garden so that for the next couple of months, we're ready to kind of get ready and hunker down for winter. And so that's what I mean. So you might sometimes be pulling out stuff that's like weeds or old plants that are not fruiting anymore that need to kind of go to be recycled in that, birth, death, rebirth function. And that's kind of what you're doing right now. And that'll be kind of part of the full moon. But again, since Chiron is involved in retrograde, that'll poke your wound. But what I'm going to encourage you to do is instead of trying to resist and fight back and say, because we're in Aries, so you're also going to feel like, I got to do something about this. But what I'm going to encourage you to do is to surrender into it and say, okay, what is this lesson for me? Instead of what do I got to do here? Okay, what do I need to learn? What do I need to learn? What is the lesson I'm harvesting right now that is going to soothe me? And there's other aspects that are happening during that time. So also remember, because full moon is also about letting go. So if we're harvesting, not just recycling the stuff to kind of put it into the mulch of the rebirth cycle, what are the things we're mulching up? What are we getting rid of? And what are the things I want to start inspiring and be grateful for? So there's lots of stuff going on. What do I want to get rid of? That's sorting. And then what do I want to keep? What am I grateful for? And what am I harvesting that's going in my root cellar for the winter so that, I can manifest some really good shit. So, okay. So let's start with our week though. That's going to happen on the 9th, which is Sunday. So, and that happens right around a little bit in central time period, time zone, right between like the end of 3 o'clock. This looks like right at like, let me see, I can, ba, 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 3:55 central time. So that is, just adjust for where you are. So it's right around 4 p.m. But I believe, let me look really quick, just so since you're here, since we're all here, where is my googly thing? Oop, nope, here. Really quick. Just hang with me 1 minute. And I'm going to tell you how long your full moon is so that you know how to plan your ritual. Because here's the cool thing about these new and full moons. You have a little time. So like, at 3:55 central time, most people are going to be on a Sunday, most people are going to be like cooking dinner or close or doing something, maybe at a soccer game, watching a football game. So if that's you, um, let's see. But if you kind of follow how the moons shift, you do have a little time. So that maybe say you got more time on a Monday, that sometimes can be more helpful. Why is this not? Oh, there it is. Had to go to I have my moon calendar on my Google Calendar. So I have a bunch of calendars, y'all. Let's see. Okay, full moon in Aries. Ooh, this is a short one though. So let's see. Fire energy in the full moon. Okay. So you have actually a little bit of time beforehand and sometimes some days after. So Sunday, October 9th at 3:54. I guess my calendars are conflicting. But and this is central time again. So 3:54 on Sunday p.m. through Thursday at 10:17 a.m. you can practice full moon ritual. Now, I have on my website, and the link to my website's below. If you go there and you go to the shop button, I think is what it is. I do have moon rituals and guides on my website. So if you do need a ritual and you want to look at that, I have an example for one of the full moons over the summer, but I also lead you through how to figure out all that stuff for yourself, which is kind of fun. And also a ritual and some other guidebooks to help you if you do need a ritual. So just go and check that out if that's there. But that happens on the 9th through that Thursday morning. So you have a little bit of time to do your ritual. But anyway, so let's go on and talk about what's the energy for this specific week, which is the 3rd through the 9th. And so we're going to ask Spirit, what do we need to know? And they keep throwing this card out. So, okay, interesting. And then the way that I do this isn't like past, present, future, or Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, weekend. What I do is the overall energy of the week and then helping cards, which means like expansion on the message. What are some other things that we want to know? So now for this week, we're going to pull some helper cards to support all this. All right. Ooh, lots of upside down Z's. Lots of I didn't know that. Let's see. Or I forgot. That's another thing that's interesting this week. Everybody's upside down. Is I feel like what I'm getting from Source and Spirit is basically this week, you know, we had that kind of like, the pandemic started on this day in 2020 in March, and then it kind of officially waned and kind of went away sometime at the end of last year. But then I feel like a lot of folks, and whatever your comfort level is, you do you. But a lot of folks still kind of are like, I don't want to go out as much, and that's cool. You do you. But what we are being invited to starting this week and starting as we move into 2023, the feelings that I'm getting from Spirit is that we're going to be invited to kind of come out like that scene in Wizard of Oz where all the where Glinda starts singing, come out wherever you are, and meet the young lady who fell from a star. That whole business. That's kind of the feeling that I'm getting where everybody's kind of peeking out from under their little bushes and peeking out their windows. Like maybe it's time I kind of go and meet my friends out in like a place. And everybody starts to get collectively more comfortable being out and about again. And that's why I think there's a lot of, oh, I forgot that I knew that energy going on. but it kind of begins today. And it's not bad. It's very soothing to kind of move forward. So, with that said, this week's energy is upside down porcupine. So time for beginner mind. So that's another thing. Beginner mindset isn't always like, oh, I'm doing something new, which it could be. But being that this is upside down, I always say when I see an upside down card, when I have a deck that does have upside, that's written or created with right side up, upside down. When I see an upside down card, it's either I didn't know that, like, oh, that's an aha moment for me. It might be I forgot that I knew that, which this is what I feel like these are, or I don't wanna. I know that and I don't wanna. I feel like it's much more of that I forgot that I knew that for everything because we've been so much in our own bell jars for so long that we forget how to be, which is okay because maybe we're reemerging as a new version of us, which we always are. So, time for beginner mind means not just I'm starting something new, I might be doing something I've done in the past, but because I'm doing it from the perspective of the version of me that's showing up now, I don't want to act like, oh, I know that already. I know that already. Or it's not okay to ask questions because that's another kind of old paradigm and old structure that is in the process of breaking down, which is when, vulnerability is a bad thing, when actually vulnerability is a good thing because asking for help when you need it, asking for direction when you need it, um, asking asking at all any question when you need it and being in that beginner mindset that I'm here and I'm open to learning for evolutionary and expansion purposes. That's what I want to be on the lookout for this week. Where can I step more into beginner mindset, which is I'm going to let go of any judgment. I'm going to surrender to what's going on and just say to myself, okay, well, that's something I've already seen, but what's a different perspective? And notice it's upside down, different perspective that I can approach this from the beginner mindset. Or I'm just going to be in beginner mindset and allow someone to give me a sign or a source to give me a sign of that new perspective. Okay. So that's kind of the overarching theme for the week is be on the lookout for those opportunities to step back into beginner mindset, even in things that you feel well versed in because there's always room to expand and evolve. And as a helper, we have antelope spirit upside down, which is also a reminder. This is life is speeding up, which makes total sense. It's a reminder to say we have or had throughout all the summer a ton. Like I joked with my friends, and I was like, we technically have what 8 planets, 9 if you count Pluto, and a bunch more if you count all the other ones. But that's up for speculation based on like what the scientists over at NASA decide or whatever, who's a planet and who's not. We just want to be inclusive and love all the planets. So that said, all the planets that are out there, there's only like 10 of them that you kind of count and a couple of asteroids. And it's like 7 of them, like 70% of them were in retrograde all summer, which meant, like I said earlier, you felt like you were walking in mud or tar or cement whenever you tried to do pretty much anything. So, because they govern different life aspects, like Mercury is thought thought, communication, contracts, legal discussions, all that kind of stuff. Whereas like other like Chiron is the wounded healer, so you might be feeling more poked. All this stuff, Saturn is structure and the teacher. All of these things might be feeling like maybe you're trying to plan something or build something, and you're like, why is everything a chore? It's because it's in retrograde and it's saying to you, stop and think and stop and slow down. But this one here is I forgot that I knew that, which means it's twofold is what I'm getting from spirit on this. Twofold. One is remember you're still in there's still a couple things retrograde that need to kind of sit you need to kind of sit with those things, and you can look those up, which planets are currently retrograde now on Google, and it'll tell you and what they all mean, and look in your life where that means, and in those particular areas you're going to want to sit and maybe journal out what is this, what's happening in that area of my life that I'm like struggling with, because that's where you need to slow down and say, okay, maybe ask whatever it is, what are you trying to teach me? Okay. And so it's reminding slowing down is still happening, but the speeding up is also happening because one by one, the planets are going to go direct and it'll remind you to say, okay, I'm glad I sat down and journaled when I had the time. So that means that now I can move forward with clarity and my lesson learned and move on to the next lesson and move on and implement the lessons that I've learned. So that's what this is. So you have this energy of remember to stay in that beginner mindset because you're going to get some new perspectives and just slow down in certain areas. And remember, things are going to be speeding up. And why you're taking that time to slow down and be in that beginner mindset is so that when things go direct and they do start speeding up and you feel like you're getting traction again, that you will be able to move forward with clarity. Okay. And then we have starfish upside down though. So that means open to infinite possibilities. Like the starfish is like this. And one of my clients, she has a starfish carpet. And if you ever watch this, you know who you are. You're the person I'm thinking of when I see this. So remember, again, this is I forgot that I knew that. I think being bogged down with all of it because it's a little overwhelming. Let's be honest. When you have one lesson at a time, or like 2 or 3 planets in retrograde, you're like, okay, I can handle this. I got this. It's okay. I may need to be in the safety burrito in my bed, wrapped up in my sheets for a day, but I got this. But when it's a bunch of stuff all at the same time, it's like, okay, it's a little overwhelming. So, this is a reminder you're not in this journey alone. You are in the midst of the trinity of self, right? Back to this, the overarching thing, which is we are all one. You are you, your individual self. You are the higher being, your soul. And then you are that extension of source energy. So, your source energy at the same time, you are the light on so many levels. And this starfish is reminding you of that patronage of your heritage, even your spiritual heritage, that you are an extension, a daughter of the source energy that does grant you that manifesting power, that beautiful version of you that is fully 100% love in the light. And so Starfish is saying, remember who you are, open up to the infinite possibilities. And that's what I think a lot of what we were talking about earlier about Saturn and the restructuring, because it's in that retrograde space right now, restructuring the structures you think are working, maybe they're not working as well as they could be you know like there's stuff that maybe you have in your kitchen tools that you've had forever, maybe they were your grandma's or whatever, and they don't work as well as they ought to if you bought a new one, and there's might be an attachment there, but sometimes it's time to stop duct taping stuff back together and just go get the new thing that's been improved in the last 20 years and it works way better, and use that. That's what this is all talking about. Be open. Let's be open. Shine your light and others will shine with you, and remember that divine heritage, that divine ancestry in every person that walks this earth. And shining your light and inviting others to shine with you creates that understanding of the oneness. And as we do that, do so from a perspective of beginning mindset this week. Even with stuff that you think is stuff that you already knew, open up and let yourself do what it is that you really need to do. Even if you thought to yourself, oh, I already know how to do that. Well, maybe invite signs or guest speakers from source to come in and be open from a beginner mindset perspective so that you maybe get a new perspective on how to do something you thought you knew all the things about. And as you do that, remember, this is really interesting to me that we have retrogrades coming and going, and it's upside down antelope, which is life is speeding up, which when I see this is upside down, it's like actually it's kind of slowing down, or it's a reminder that life is speeding up. So I feel like there's a duality in this one. So as we're doing that, being mindful of staying in beginner mindset, really sitting down and saying to yourself, okay, I have some time left in these other areas of life with these other planets still retrograde and these other ones going direct, to maybe sit down, and maybe look at, you got Pluto coming up as going direct. So maybe now sit down and look at your chart and say, where is this Pluto in my chart? What house is it in? And what's going on with it? So that I can maybe or what are the attributes of that, so that I can kind of be aware, where in my life are those things showing up that I want to maybe journal out. What is it that I need to learn? Because I still have another, it goes direct and then it's still like shadow period for a couple of weeks. So, I still got time to kind of sit with all these things. And like saying with Mercury retrograde, you can still have time to sit with the relationships that need balancing, whether they're with other people, with yourself, with your work, with life, with how you deal with receiving information and boundaries, all that kind of stuff. Use these retrogrades to sit with that, to be in beginner mindset, to give yourself new perspectives. Because when this starts to turn this away, when things start going direct, it's going to get really quick. So make sure you're ready. And then again, lastly, being open to those infinite possibilities and remembering that they're there. You're not in this alone. It's not called co-creating because you do it by yourself. It's called co-creating because you're doing it with source energy, your soul, other folks that are representative of the same extension of source energy that you are, but manifest into the 3D and 5D planes as externally separate people that are here to work together with you. So understanding that there's infinite possibilities, being open-minded to everything from a beginner standpoint, and shining your light for the month of October, shining your light so you can bring along other folks with you that also invite them in to also shine your light. So I love you guys so much. I'm so excited that you're here. Good morning, Tori. I love it. She goes, I'm late. Bah! But you can watch the replay because it'll once it processes, it'll come right back up. But I want to thank those of you that were here to join me, Rose and Tori. So grateful that you are here. If you're watching the replay, go ahead and comment below. I would love to hear from you about your Mercury retrograde experience and maybe your intentions for October of how you want to shine your light. And if you love this channel, go ahead and subscribe. Click the bell so you know whenever I'm on here live, and the replays are right after. And make sure you give us a thumbs up so it gets in rotation with the YouTubes. That said, if you would like to work together, there are links below of how to do that. If you're looking for a 7-day quick start on your manifesting, there is a link below for you to do that if that's something that's in your wheelhouse. And other than that, I will see you next Monday, right around 11 a.m. Central, right here. And I look forward to it. And until then, I will see you in the vortex. And I love you so much. Have a lovely week, a wonderful October. Be playful and beginner mindset and shine your light, my friends. I love you so much. And I will see you then. Where's my cursor? I'm getting back used to this whole thing. And thank you so much. I'll see you soon. Bye, y'all.